There are no accidents in the kingdom of God, and there are no coincidences when it comes to His divine plan. If you are hearing these words right now, it is because God Himself has ordered your steps to this moment. You may think you simply stumbled onto this message, but I'm telling you plainly, this is divine timing. This is a prophetic moment, and something powerful is about to shift in your life. You may have been struggling, waiting, wondering why nothing has changed yet. You may feel stuck as if heaven has gone silent, but listen carefully. God is about to open a door that no man can shut, an opening so significant it will change everything. Stay with me, because this message will uncover what is about to happen in your life. God moves with intention. He is not random, and He is never late. Every moment of delay, every closed door, every disappointment has been leading you toward a greater purpose. The tragedy is that many people quit right before the breakthrough. They let frustration, fear, and doubt drown out their faith. But God does not operate on human timelines. He is a God of perfect timing, and when He moves, everything can shift instantly. When God opens a door, no one can shut it. Not your enemies, not your past, not even your own fears. Look at Joseph. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and falsely accused. Yet every trial was leading him to a door only God could open, the door to the palace. Joseph's brothers thought they were destroying his future, but they were actually pushing him closer to his destiny. That is how God works. He takes what was meant for evil and turns it for your good. He allows the trials because they prepare you for what comes next. God is setting you up. You have been feeling pressure because you are on the verge of something. You have been experiencing attacks because the enemy knows you are about to step into your promise. But hear this, the enemy can try, but he cannot stop what God has already prepared for you. If God has spoken it, it must come to pass. The enemy may delay it, but he cannot deny it. Some of you have been knocking on doors God never intended for you. You have been chasing opportunities, relationships, and dreams that were not aligned with your purpose. And when those doors did not open, you felt rejected. But rejection is often God's redirection. Those closed doors were not punishment. They were protection. God knows what is best for you, and He will not allow you to settle for less than what He has prepared. Abraham was called to leave his home and go to a place God would show him. He did not have all the details. He did not have a roadmap. He had a promise. And sometimes that is all you need, a word from God. Because when God speaks, His word carries creative power. God is speaking over you right now. He is declaring that your season of waiting is shifting, that doors that seemed locked are about to swing wide open. But here is the key. You must be prepared, because when that door opens, you may not have time to get ready. You must already be in position. One of the hardest things is for God to open a door and for you to be unprepared to walk through it. Some of you are about to step into rooms where your name has already been spoken. You do not even realize God has been working behind the scenes, arranging what you could never arrange, setting things in motion you could not control. Just like Esther, positioned in the palace for the right time, you are being positioned for a divine assignment. But it takes faith. It takes obedience. It takes a willingness to release the past and step into the unknown. God is calling you higher, calling you to trust Him even when it does not make sense. Because when God opens a door, it will not merely be an opportunity, it will be a divine shift. It will be something you could never accomplish on your own. Something so undeniable that only God gets the glory. Stay expectant. Stay ready. The door is about to open, and when it does, everything will change. When God is about to open a new door, He does not always announce it with a loudspeaker. He does not always send an angel to hand you the date and time. Instead, He watches how you handle the waiting. He watches how you respond in uncertainty. He watches your faith, your patience, your endurance. Many never walk into their destiny because they give up too soon. They let discouragement rob them of what W as just around the corner. They pray and believe for a season, but when life does not shift quickly, they assume God has forgotten them. But what if the delay is actually a test? What if God is watching to see whether you will trust Him when there is no evidence? Faith is not about seeing, It is about believing when everything in the natural argues against you. Faith is standing on what God said, even when your circumstances say the opposite. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea with an army closing in behind them. In the natural, there was no way out. But God specializes in making a way where there is no way. With one command, the sea parted, and they walked through on dry ground. That same God is still working today. The doors that seem impossible to open in your life are nothing to Him. He can open doors in ways you never imagined. He can shift things so suddenly that what seemed fixed for years changes in a moment, but He's calling you to trust Him fully. There is a reason God does not always open the door immediately. He is strengthening you in the waiting. He's preparing you for what is ahead. Because when the door opens, there will be greater responsibility, greater challenges, and greater levels of faith required. You cannot enter a new season with an old mindset. You cannot drag old baggage into a new place. The waiting is not wasted. It is preparation. It is refinement. It is God shaping you into the person who can carry what He is about to place in your hands. Think about David. He was anointed king, yet he did not step into the throne right away. He went back to tending sheep. He fought battles in private long before he was celebrated in public. That preparation was necessary, because the palace demands a different level of character and wisdom. If David had rushed the process, he would not have been ready for the weight of kingship. The same is true for you. What God is preparing you for requires a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and spiritually mature. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is for God to give you something too soon before you are ready to handle it. Many ask God to open doors, but they are not ready for what is on the other side. They want the blessing without the process. They want the platform without the discipline required to sustain it. But God loves you too much to hand you what would harm you. He will withhold a blessing if withholding it protects you. This is why certain doors in your past had to close. This is why certain relationships had to end. Why certain opportunities had to pass you by. Not because God was punishing you, but because He was protecting you. You may have been disappointed when things did not work out, but there will come a day when you look back and thank God for the closed doors, because you will see how He was setting you up for something greater. When God is about to open a door, He will often require a step of faith before you see the full picture. He told Abraham to leave home and go to a land He would show him. God did not provide every detail up front. He gave an instruction. Many miss their open door because they insist on answers before obedience. They want the full map before taking the first step. But that is not how faith works. Faith moves before the evidence appears. Faith obeys while the details are still unclear. Some of you are in a moment where God is calling you to step out. He is telling you to start what you keep postponing, to apply where you keep doubting yourself, to move where you keep hesitating, to walk away from what keeps holding you down and you are resisting because you do not have all the answers. But that is exactly where faith is required. You do not need to see everything. You need to obey the next step. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he did not understand how he would walk on water. He simply responded to the word Jesus spoke. And as long as his focus stayed on Jesus, he did the impossible. The door God is about to open for you will demand a new level of faith. It will require trust like you have never known. Because when that door opens, it will not be by your strength, not by your connections, not by your qualifications. It will be purely by His favor. And when it happens, no one will be able to take credit. The only explanation will be that God did it. But before the door opens, God will test your obedience. He will see whether you trust Him when nothing makes sense. Will you still believe when it looks like nothing is happening? Will you still worship when the breakthrough has not arrived yet? Will you remain faithful when the process takes longer than you expected? Because how you handle this season determines whether you are ready for the next. Some have been praying for open doors while refusing to be faithful where they are now. They want promotion, but they do not steward current responsibility. They want opportunity, but they complain about the place God is using to mature them. Yet if you are not faithful in small things, God will not entrust you with greater things. If you are not disciplined in private, you will not be prepared for public success. God is watching your character in the waiting. Some of you are asking for a door to open, but you are not positioned to receive it. You have allowed distractions to pull you off course. You have let fear paralyze you. You have allowed doubt to keep you from moving forward. Today, God is calling you to realign, to reposition yourself for what is coming, to begin walking in faith before the door even opens. Because when it happens, you must be ready. God is speaking again. Your season of waiting is shifting. Doors that seemed locked are about to swing open. Opportunities you thought were gone are coming back around. But you must be prepared, willing to step into the unknown, willing to trust Him even when the path is unclear. Because what is ahead is greater than what is behind. What God has planned for you is beyond what you could ask or imagine. So do not give up now. Do not let frustration make you walk away too soon. Do not let doubt steal what God is about to release in your life. Stay in position. Stay in faith. The door is about to open. And when it does, everything will change. When God gets ready to move, He does not ask permission. He does not consult your past to see whether you qualify. He does not check with the people who doubted you to see whether they approve. When God decides to open a door, no one can shut it. No amount of opposition can stop it. No delay can deny it. No mistake in your past can cancel it. The only thing that can keep you from walking through that door is your own fear, your own doubt, and your unwillingness to move when He calls. There are moments when God is waiting on you to act. You have been praying for clarity, but He has already given instruction. You have been asking for confirmation, but He has already shown signs. Sometimes doors have not opened, not because God is holding them shut, but because you have not taken the step of obedience required to walk through them. The children of Israel stood at the Jordan River, and God told them to cross into promise, but the waters did not part until they stepped in. Some of you are waiting for God to move, and He is waiting for you to step. The door is already unlocked. You need the faith to push it open. God has been stirring something in your spirit, whispering in ways too clear to ignore. You feel it, an urgency, a pull, a knowing that something is shifting. But the enemy wants you distracted. He wants you trapped in hesitation. He wants you convinced it is not the right time, that you are not qualified, that you do not have what it takes. But if God has called you, He has equipped you. If He placed the vision inside you, He has already made provision ahead of you. What remains is your willingness to say yes. Every open door comes with opposition. Every opportunity God gives will meet resistance. Do not be surprised when, the moment you decide to move forward, it feels like all hell breaks loose. The enemy does not waste attacks on people going nowhere. He fights those on the verge of significance. If you are feeling pressure right now, it is because you are close. If you are facing obstacles, it is because the enemy sees what is ahead and is trying to stop you from stepping into it. But greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. The resistance you are facing is confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Some doors will require you to leave the comfort of where you have been. It is easy to pray for new opportunity, but are you willing to leave what is familiar to step into it? Abraham had to leave home. Ruth had to leave her past. The disciples had to leave their nets. What God has for you is ahead, not behind. Some of you are holding on to what no longer serves you, trying to bring old relationships, old habits, and old mindsets into a new season. But you cannot step into what is new while clinging to what is old. Sometimes the delay is not because God is not ready, but because you are not willing to let go. God will not force you through the door. He will not drag you into destiny. He will open the opportunity. But you must have the courage to step into it. Fear will tell you you are not ready. Doubt will tell you it is too risky. But faith requires movement even without full answers. Peter did not wait for a guarantee that he would not sink. He obeyed the call of Jesus. Some of you keep asking God to show the whole picture before you move, but faith moves first, and then provision follows. You may not feel qualified for what God is calling you to do. You may look around and see people who seem smarter, more talented, more prepared. But God does not choose by human standards. He chooses by willingness. When Samuel went to anoint a king, He looked first at David's older brothers because they appeared more fit. But God said that man looks at outward appearance while the Lord looks at the heart. David was overlooked by people but chosen by God. Some of you have been overlooked, but God has seen you. People may not recognize your potential, but God has been preparing you in secret. And when He opens the door, no one will be able to deny what He has placed on your life. Every great move of God often comes with a season of isolation. Before Jesus began public ministry, He spent 40 days in the wilderness. Before Joseph stepped into destiny, he spent years in prison. Before Paul was recognized as an apostle, he endured obscurity. Some of you have been in a hidden season and wondered why it is taking so long, but God has been developing you in the dark, building character, refining faith, preparing you for the weight of what is coming. What God is about to release requires maturity, and He loves you too much to hand it to you before you are ready. There are doors God will open that no one will be able to take credit for. It will not be because of your connections, your education, or anything you could accomplish in your own strength. It will be His divine favor. Some of you have been trying to force things to happen, and you have grown weary. You have knocked on doors that would not open and pursued opportunities that did not work out. But when God opens a door, you will not have to manipulate it. You will not have to beg. You will not have to convince anyone of your value. The right opportunity will recognize you. The right people will find you. The right door will open with a grace you cannot manufacture. And you will know it was God. Do not despise the process. Do not grow weary in doing what is right. God's timing is perfect, and what He has for you cannot be rushed. You may feel like nothing is happening, but that does not mean God is not working. Some of the greatest breakthroughs are being formed in silence. Some of the most powerful doors open when you least expect them. Stay positioned. Stay faithful. Stay expectant. When the time comes, the door will open so suddenly it will shock you. What took years to build will shift in a moment. What seemed delayed will happen quickly. What you thought was lost will be restored. And when it happens, it will not be small, ordinary, or predictable. It will be exceedingly and abundantly above all you could ask or imagine. But you must be ready. You must be willing. You must be positioned to step into it when the moment comes. God is not finished with you. He has not forgotten the promises He made. He is setting things up in ways you cannot see, aligning what needs to align, orchestrating connections, moving people, and preparing opportunities. The question is not whether God is able. The question is whether you will be ready when the door opens. Will you have the faith to step in? Will you trust Him even when it does not make sense? Because what is ahead is greater than anything you have ever known. And when God opens this next door, it will change everything. There comes a time in your life when you realize the season you have been in is no longer where you belong. Something begins to stir in your spirit, an unshakable restlessness, a divine discomfort that signals a shift. It is not because you are ungrateful. It is not because you are impatient. It is because it's calling you higher, pulling you into a place where the old ways, the old patterns, and the old limitations no longer fit who He is forming you to be. That is why certain things no longer satisfy you. That is why what once brought comfort now feels empty. That is why relationships that once made sense now feel strained. God is closing one chapter so He can open another. And the transition is necessary. But transitions are not always easy. When God shifts your life, it often comes with discomfort. It comes with unanswered questions. It comes with moments when you wonder if you are making the right decision. The enemy loves to exploit those moments, planting seeds of fear, whispering, doubt, urging you to stay where it is familiar and manageable. He wants you to stare at the uncertainty ahead until you freeze. But hesitation is the enemy of destiny. Some of the greatest opportunities God will give you require immediate obedience. When He says move, you cannot afford to live in second guessing. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. And understand this, there are people right now who are waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are lives God intends to touch through you. You may think this is only about your personal breakthrough, but it is bigger than you. The door God is opening is not only for your benefit, it is for the generations that will come after you. The decisions you make today are shaping your future, your family, and even people you have not met yet. That is why the enemy has been fighting you so hard. That is why the resistance has been so intense. Because if you step into what God is calling you to, it will create a ripple effect that shakes the kingdom off. Darkness. Do you know why the enemy tried to destroy Joseph? It was not just because of his dreams. It was because his destiny was tied to the survival of an entire nation. The famine that was coming would have devastated the people God had chosen to carry his covenant. Joseph's journey was never only about Joseph. It was about something far larger. If he had quit in prison, if he had surrendered to bitterness and unbelief, countless lives would have been affected. Some of you are in a difficult season and you think it is only about you, but it is not. There is something greater on the other side of this test. There is something powerful beyond this opposition. That is why you cannot quit now. That is why you must hold on even when it does not make sense. God does not open doors based on human qualification. He does not choose according to man's standards. He chooses the unexpected. He raises up those the world overlooks. He takes those who feel unqualified and fills them with his spirit. So you cannot let insecurity talk you out of your blessing. You cannot let your past define your future. You cannot allow the opinions of people to limit what God intends to do in your life. When David stood before Goliath, no one believed in him. They looked at his size, his youth, his lack of experience, and dismissed him. What they did not see was that David had already been fighting in the secret place. He had been slaying lions and bears when nobody was watching. He had been learning courage, precision, and trust in God when there was no audience and no applause. And when the moment came, the door God opened for him could not be stopped. Some of you have been in a season where you feel hidden. But God is about to reveal what he has been building in you. There are moments when God will tell you to move and nothing will look ready. Circumstances will not look favorable. The numbers will not add up. The people around you will not understand. But faith does not wait for perfect conditions. Faith moves in obedience when nothing looks possible. When the Israelites stood before the walls of Jericho, God told them to march. It did not make sense. It did not look like anything was happening. But on the seventh day, the walls collapsed. Some of you are in the middle of your march, and you feel like nothing is changing. Keep going, keep trusting, keep believing, because in a moment, what looked impossible will collapse. The breakthrough will manifest. The door will swing open, and you will realize every step of faith was worth it. God's ways are not our ways, and he does not operate on our timelines. There are things you have prayed for and waited on, and you wonder why they have not happened yet. But God is not only preparing the blessing, he is preparing you for the blessing. Sometimes he holds back what you are asking for because he knows you are not yet ready to sustain it. He loves you too much to give why. Something that will overwhelm you, expose you, or break you. That is why the waiting season is not a wasted season. That is why the process matters as much as the promise. You have no idea what God is arranging behind the scenes. You have no idea which doors are about to open, which opportunities are being positioned, which breakthroughs are lining up. If you could see what God was doing, you would not stress over what is not happening right now. You would not waste energy panicking about what seems delayed. Because when it happens, it will happen suddenly. When the shift comes, it will be undeniable. And when the door opens, it will be bigger than you imagined. Some of you are standing at the edge of something so great that the enemy is terrified of what is about to happen in your life. That is why he has been throwing everything he can at you. That is why you have felt the pressure, the discouragement, the constant resistance. He knows that if you step into what God has for you, his plans are disrupted. That is why you cannot afford to give in now. That is why you must stand firm. What God has for you is greater than what you are facing. The door is opening. The shift is happening. The season is changing. And when it unfolds, you will look back and see that every trial, every setback, every delay was part of the preparation. You will understand that nothing was wasted. You will recognize God's hand was guiding you the entire time. And when you step through that door, you will not merely walk into a new opportunity, You will step into a new level of destiny. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. What is ahead is greater than anything you have left behind. Everything you have been through has been leading to this moment, the delay, the struggles, the waiting preparing you for what God is about to do. The door He is opening will not just change your situation, it will transform your destiny. Do not let fear stop you. Do not let doubt hold you back. Move forward in faith, knowing God has already gone before you. What He has prepared for you is greater than anything you have imagined. This is your time. This is your season. Step through the door and embrace the future God has for you.